Hello everyone, A Wretched Kitten here. So for about the past month, I have not made any videos. That is because I've been really focused on grinding out this new Destiny 2 DLC Beyond Light and the season that released along with it, Season of the Hunt. I had originally intended to create a video giving my thoughts on just the campaign of this DLC, but after giving it more thought, I felt like playing it for a month on a consistent basis and then sharing my thoughts would be a better idea. So that is what this video is going to be about. I'm going to start off with the Beyond Light campaign, pre-raid, and pre-seasonal content release, then go into Season of the Hunt since that released before the raid. After that, I'll go into post-campaign content after Deepstone Crypt was completed on day 1. And with that, let's get into it.
Coming from
Here, Europa.
Going into a new DLC is always a fun and enjoyable experience for me when it comes to Destiny 2. There is the excitement of figuring out what the story may end up being, getting new loot to mess around with and use, the initial reactions to events that happen in the story, and in this case, a whole new subclass. For me, the most important pieces of a DLC are the story it brings and how my character will adapt. Beyond Light fulfilled exactly that for me. Going through the campaign for the first time honestly felt like a brand new version of Destiny 2. Leveling up was a challenge. Scrambling to acquire blues to drop made it so that I had a challenge when it came to progressing through the story missions. I had a few times where I would keep wiping because I was severely underleveled, but I enjoyed the challenge. I had expected that. What I did not expect was Stasis. Don't get me wrong, I knew we were getting powers in a subclass that was the Darkness. What surprised me was that we didn't just get the new subclass and it was done. We have it, now continue with the campaign. Getting only a taste of it every few missions throughout playing it was something totally new and extremely enjoyable for me. It kept me on my toes, eager to keep progressing, eager for the moment when Stasis would be mine to keep and use throughout the other activities in the game. Although when it came to that point in the story, I did not expect it to be the way it was. Bungie had once again taken the writing of their story and completely surprised me. When my character was at a low point, unable to continue, that's when Stasis came in to save the day, allowing for my guardian to complete the campaign. However, what I thought was the completion of the main story turned into something even more. It opened up even more story through obtaining Stasis fragments and learning more about the Exo Stranger, as well as having to defeat more of Aramis's lieutenants. Then there was a story mission for an exotic weapon that also used Stasis. Having Ghost do a full quest where he was imitating Drifter was spectacular writing, and I loved every moment of it. There was so much to do in the first week just on Europa and concerning Beyond Light that I was never without something to do. This was also just done on my main character, my hunter. I knew I would play my other two characters eventually. 4 days later, I started my warlock, and that leveling process was easier due to being able to transfer over high-powered weapons and then basically having blue armor thrown at me like confetti. Same for my titan, when I eventually got to her about 2 weeks later. Knowing that I would need to power up to solo legendary lost sectors for exotic armor that only came from those. I'm still leveling up to be able to do them, which for me is absolutely wonderful. Grinding out Empire hunts for Cloudstrike and doing things for Varix, so much to do, and I'm not complaining because I enjoy it. For me, the fact that the Beyond Light campaign didn't stop after defeating Aramis made it so much more enjoyable. There were the fragments to grind for, the first Stasis aspect, Empire hunts, and so much more. This DLC campaign was probably one of my favorites released so far in Destiny, and to think that all this was before the season content was released. With that came even more. A week after Beyond Light's release, the seasonal content dropped. Season of the Hunt began with the mission to save Osiris on the moon after his ghost, Sagira, sadly was destroyed, leaving him with his last life on a very dangerous mission. A mission to get Sagira's killer, the Hive Celebrant of Xivu Arath being the sister of Savathun and the late Oryx. In our attempt to rescue Osiris, we meet the Crow, the reborn guardian who in his previous life was Uldren Sov, the man responsible for killing the beloved hunter vanguard Cade 6. As the story progresses, we find that Spider took Crow in and has him working for him. They're luring in Wrathborn, which used to be fallen that are now corrupted by Xivu-Arath, in an attempt to draw out the Hive Celebrant and her. Crow alone being alive and a part of this was the most interesting part of the story for me. A man we killed, or helped kill, now as a guardian, with no memory of the man he used to be. He's a totally different person. Up until this week, with the release of the Hawkmoon quest, I didn't see just how different he was. In that quest, we learn how him and his ghost Glint interacted, how he recognizes that people know who he was before, and that he never wants to know who that person was. Bungie did a fantastic job with his character, and I love it.
Glint gave this to me. It was a gift. It was the dawning. Your first dawning. The first time I ever felt like it might be safe to be around other guardians. I'm not stupid. I know the person I used to be, he did something terrible. I can feel it when people look into my eyes and see him. The way you looked at me when we met. I don't ever want to know him.
Now, as far as the actual story content for this season, there isn't much. There were the few missions at the beginning to unlock the Wrathborn hunts, but after that, it's just repeat the hunts over and over, with some small dialogue in them. Honestly, for me, I wish there was a little bit more to it. Who knows what Bungie has up their sleeves, but I hope they introduce something more as the season goes on. Maybe we unlock some new thing, or things. Speaking of that, we did, however, unlock quite a few things after the completion of the Deep Stone Crypt raid.
Remind me not to get on your bad side.
Don't worry. My guardian isn't the type to hold a grudge.
After the world's first team completed the Deep Stone Crypt on November 21st, a lot of things were unlocked for players. A new exotic quest, an entire new area on Europa, the Exo Challenges, Eclipse Zones, and the next Stasis aspect. We were able to do a variety of new things that we couldn't do before. The exotic quest was for the Lament, a sword that brought a lot of lore with Banshee and Clovis Bray. That brings me to the new area on Europa, Creation, the place where we found a gigantic exo head with the consciousness of Clovis Bray fully intact, the one who created the exos and was trying to get us off the ship in the raid. I'm gonna be honest here. I was super stoked to see this new area and to be able to interact with the Exo head and talk with him. To forge a sword that Banshee knew of and gave him some of his memories. Finding out that Banshee used to be Clovis himself. My brain was overloaded with information and I was completely loving every moment of it.
Artificial intelligence activated. Oh, you again. And what should I help you with this time?
It's our friend, Banshee, an Exo. He had scattered visions of dead Exos that mentioned a blade and led to you.
Did you say Banshee?
Yes, he's our gunsmith.
How interesting. You're after the blade then, I assume.
We're just out to help our friend make sense of his memories. Hoping the blade helps with that.
Yes, I'm aware of where it lies. You want it? Prove you're worth my time first.
Same to you.
Then there's the Exo Challenges, 3 in total that rotate on a weekly basis, each one unique in what is required to complete them, but also giving you more into what Clovis has to say about things. With the completion of the raid and getting your second aspect, seeing Anna Bray reunite with her sister Elizabeth, the Exo Stranger, and both of them talking to Clovis was an amazing thing to experience. Listening to all of them interact, knowing they're all related as a part of the Bray family, was crazy cool. Seeing all of this added stuff come to the game with the completion of the raid brought back memories of when Last Wish was completed and the Dreaming City changed. Except this time, there was so much more to do. Eclipse zones that allow for constant stasis regeneration, challenging to find penguins that release on a weekly basis and that give you lore, a weekly consumable from Varix that gives you the ability to defeat a specific vandal, scanning around Europa for little droids to eliminate and gather information from panels. The small things that are a challenge for people to find without having guides for. In my opinion, it was a wonderful thing to experience. I could go on and on forever about how much good Bungie did with Beyond Light. I could also point out all the things that haven't gone well, bugs, etc. But I'm not going to. The Beyond Light DLC itself has enough story and post-campaign content that I'm always busy doing something in the game. Whether it's leveling to solve the lost sectors, farming the raid for spoils of conquest, doing Wrathborn hunts for more gear, or grinding out triumphs. Yes, there is some lack of incentives for certain things, and it's not the most perfect game out there. What blows me away is that all of this was given to us by Bungie, while they were all working from home. The writing has been amazing, content hasn't stopped, and overall I'm still loving this game. Beyond Light is keeping me on my toes and always looking for something new to show up. These are my thoughts on Beyond Light, a month later.
Banshee isn't really you anymore. Until we showed him the sword, he had no clear memory of even being you.
I see. No bother. Should he be too far gone, I can always transfer this one.
And White Banshee?
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. Make sure to hit the bell to get notifications when I upload videos. If you'd like to see something in particular in my videos, please leave a comment below. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.